It's UFC 300 Fight Week. The pre-fight press conference just finished here in Las Vegas, MGM Grand Garden Arena. My name is Marc Raimondi. I'm here with the newest addition to the ESPN MMA team, Andreas, Hale, and it was a star-studded press conference. Every single fighter, all 26 fighters on this UFC 300 card was on the stage. Maybe the greatest assemblage of talent I've ever seen on one UFC stage. I guess first, Andreas, the biggest news coming out of the press conference was the bonuses. Dana White announced that the bonuses for this card Saturday will go from $50K to $300,000. So performance of the night, fight of the night, those guys or girls are getting $300,000. Your thoughts on that?
It's insane, but it's UFC 300. This is where it should be. Not since Martin Kampmann and Diego Sanchez got $160,000 for UFC on Versus did we see a bonus this high. And that's almost double that.
Look at this guy with his call back to the old days.
Stats, baby.
Do you think, and Bobby Green alluded to this a little bit, Andreas, is there more motivation for them to put on better fights because there's all that? I mean, $300,000 is going to be a bigger fight purse than a lot of these men and women are making on Saturday.
I mean, so here's the thing. On Media Day, everybody conceded that Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway was going to get the Fight of the Night bonus. So they were fighting already to try to exceed expectations. Now it's $300,000. Everybody's going to try to go for it. I can't wait. It takes the card to absolute new heights.
I want to ask you about Gaethje and Holloway in a second, but first I want to ask you about the main event. Light heavyweight title, it's Alex Pereira versus Jamal, Hill, former champion. And there wasn't a whole lot of trash talk at this press conference, but there was a little bit toward the end. Jamal Hill had a stone head, kind of an Alex Pereira's like symbol, and it was beat up. There was a black eye, cracked, bloody. He held that up, and then Alex Pereira, he's a very stoic guy. He sat up like immediately and went right at Hill. Your comments on your thoughts on that, and what did you think of that exchange and Hill's kind of like showmanship?
I mean, it's been relatively tame to this point. They know they got to throw hands on Saturday night, but now Jamal Hill is up in the ante a little bit. Poltan is never going to break that stone face, but now he sees somebody gunning for him. They got examples to make out of each other on Saturday night, and this was just the beginning of that.
I feel like Pereira is not a guy that you want to give like added motivation to. Remember that story about him with Adesanya where he saw Adesanya talk about him in an interview, and he wasn't even in MMA at the time, and it motivated him to get into MMA and challenge Adesanya? You don't want to give that guy any more added motivation.
No, you don't, but if you're Jamal Hill, you got something to prove, and maybe you think you can get into his head. Might be a bad thing to do, but we'll find out.
Max Holloway said something very interesting, I thought, at Media Day on Wednesday, and he said that every time he looks up and he sees a UFC 300 promo or a commercial, it's him and Justin Gaethje. It seems like that is the people's main event for Saturday. Do you feel the same way? And I mean, do you think what Holloway said has validity?
Absolutely. When this fight was announced, people thought it should be the main event. Regardless of what Jamal Hill and Alex Pereira do on Saturday night, that's the fight people want to see. Think about it like this. Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, Jim Miller, Charles Oliveira together, 57 Performance of the Night bonuses. 2 of them are in the BMF title. If there's a fight that encompasses BMF, this might be it.
This man brought his stats with him, so I want to ask you this, Andreas. There were 26 fighters on there. There's 13 fights on Saturday, and there was a lot of there wasn't a lot of time for everyone to kind of get their stuff in. But did anything else stand out to you? Did any fight raise its stock to you on the stage? Any surprises? Anything that whether it be the face-off or the actual press conference?
I'll tell you what, I was surprised Bo Nickel got booed. That surprised me.
Why do you think?
I don't know. Maybe because he's the golden boy, and now everybody's looking at him like, maybe he's getting a little overhyped. He's the biggest favorite on the card, so I could see that. The other thing that sticks out to me is Oliveira versus Sarukian is probably the sleeper fight of the night, and this crowd did not like Sarukian, and I think that just motivates him to prove something against Charles Oliveira. That is a hell of a fight, and a true contender that could sneak up on everybody and sweep the bonuses.
I was also surprised about Bo Nickel because he is a guy that I thought had a semblance of popularity. He's on his way up, obviously. But it seems like him being on the main card is what fans are fixated on, right? That's not his fault, though.
No. I mean, what's he going to do? They put him in that spot, you take what they give you. But obviously fans wanted to see maybe a Yuri Prochazka on the main card. You have a lot of champions. Obviously, Cody Garbrandt's opening the card. You got a guy who has, 3 fights? Getting on the main card. So, yeah, the fans are going to revolt a little bit, but it's up to Bo to prove something.
Should he lean into that a little bit, maybe a little heel turn? You're a big pro wrestling guy, Andreas.
Hey, as I always say, everything is pro wrestling. So Bo Nickel leaned into that a little bit more. There's cash on the other side of that. Trust me.
All right, well, we'll stop it there. UFC 300 is just a massive card, maybe the biggest in UFC history. It's coming up Saturday. Please stay tuned for all things UFC 300 on ESPN MMA, YouTube, all our verticals, the whole deal. You already know. UFC 300 on Saturday. For Andreas, I'm Marc. Have fun this week. Enjoy the fights.